What's up, everybody? It's your boy Cmoney back with another video. Roman Reigns destroys CM Punk. Seth Rollins gets arrested? Yeah. We gotta talk about Monday Night Raw, the March 23rd, 2026 episode of Monday Night Raw. But before we get into that, I have to say a little disclaimer. I actually have some bad news. My camera broke. My camera that I film videos with broke. So I'm not using my camera right now, so the quality may not be as good because I'm not using my video camera that I usually use. It broke. That's why I wasn't able to make SmackDown reactions during the weekend. Very bad. I'm going to work about getting that replaced, but right now we just have to deal with this. Yeah, so I apologize if the quality isn't as good. I'm doing the best I can. Yeah, so I'm going to try to get a new camera very soon. But right now, this will do. All right, let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Well, actually, first let's talk about SmackDown because I wasn't able to make SmackDown reactions. SmackDown was very good last Friday. Like Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu were destroying each other. Like the whole show. The whole show, Fatu and McIntyre were going at it. McIntyre crashed his car into Fatu's, and then he came out and started talking trash. Then Jacob Fatu came out. They started brawling backstage. The show eventually ends with them brawling on like the side of like railing, and then they both fell. And now there was like a fence, so we didn't see where they fall. There was probably padding there where they fell, but it makes it look like they fell on concrete. So right, the point was to make it look like they fell on concrete. Yeah, which who knows? They might actually did. Who knows? Either way, it doesn't matter because it looked great. And then we had Randy Orton. He was explaining everything about Cody Rhodes and why he did it. He's like, Randy's listening to the voices again, and he was saying, how like Cody wanted the real Randy Orton, and he was saying how ever since he's been back, he's been high-fiving the fans and he's been taking pictures, autographs, but none of that has really meant much to him. Like I forget exactly what he said because it was kind of like he was just saying how he wants to win another title. He wants his legacy to matter. He wants his legacy to yeah, I'm a 15 because if he wins this, he'll be a 15-time world champion. That's what he wants. He wants to win another world title. And and he's like, Cody wanted the real Randy Orton, so here he is, right? But then he had a whole thing with Matt Cardona backstage. Matt Cardona was getting in face, and Randy just snapped and pushed him, and he's like, "Arr!" And then Jelly Roll actually had a thing with Randy backstage, and he was like, Randy, you don't have to go back to this version of yourself. This is not the Randy I know. I'm talking about Randy, the father, the husband. He's a good guy. Don't go back to this. And Randy's like, you're right. And then he's like, I'm going to make it right. And then he goes out, he calls out Matt Cardona, and he apologizes. He's like, look, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. We good? And then they hug it out, whatever. And then Randy hits him with a low blow. He puts an arm. He puts a chair on his arm, and then he stomps on the chair, and he broke his arm, and just Randy, he's listening to the voices, but it's the two-faced right now because he's with Jelly Roll, he's like, you're right, man, because remember he also pushed Jelly Roll after he did the chair shot to Cody and everything, so right, so he but then with Jelly Roll he was apologizing and being nice and stuff. So maybe it's almost like Randy's listening to the voices, but then not listening to the voices. He's he's playing both sides. Right. It's Randy. He's definitely gonna win at WrestleMania. He's gonna get number 15. It's gonna be very interesting because again. Who was Randy on the phone with last Monday night on Raw? Remember that whole thing? We talked about it. Randy was on the phone with someone. He was on the phone with someone actually on SmackDown too. So, what's going to happen with this whole thing? Between Randy and Cody? I don't know. But it's pretty interesting. Jelly Roll and Kit Wilson had a whole thing, which was funny. They were Kit Wilson was roasting him using poetry, and then Jelly Roll fired right back at him. It was funny. And then Kit Wilson actually eventually laid out Jelly Roll. So Uh, they're going to have a match next week. That's going to be interesting. Um, Jelly Roll and Kit Wilson are going to have a match next week. How's it going to end up? Who knows? We'll see. And then new tag team champions Damian Priest and R-Truth defeated um, Wyatt defeated the MFTs thanks to the help of the Wyatt Six. That was awesome. Aleister Black beat Sami Zayn. Trick Williams got involved. All that, and that was basically the women's tag team drama. Yeah, that stuff. Carmelo Hayes defeated Ilya Dragunov to retain the championship, U.S. championship, and then all right, then that was pretty much it. Let's get into Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw was very, very good. At least I thought it was good. Actually, there's two other things. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame because we have Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman, Basketball Hall of Famer, is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. That's cool. He was doing some stuff with like NWO and WCW. Like there's pictures of him with Hogan and NWO and stuff all over. So I mean, I guess that's cool. Like I don't know why he has to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, but I guess it's just the collab. Basketball Hall of Famer in WWE Hall of Fame. It's whatever. I guess that's cool. And then Psycho Sid Vicious. He's going to be inducted as like a legacy award in the WWE Hall of Fame, which is like, yeah, I don't really know what that means. So it's not like a real induction, but honestly, I don't care. I'm happy because I think Psycho Sid deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know why they had to give him like a legacy award. I don't know I don't understand the difference between that and that. Right. I don't get it, but at the end of the day, I don't care because he's still in the Hall of Fame, and it's probably because he's passed away, and that's why they gave him like a legacy award. Because, again, I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm just happy to see that he's made it because Psycho Sid definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. So I'm just happy for him. I'm happy for that. Rest in peace, though, to Psycho Sid. Rest in peace. But I'm happy that he's in the Hall of Fame, or he's going into the Hall of Fame. Yes. So that's awesome. Now let's talk about Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw starts off with Brock Lesnar coming out. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. Brock is pissed after the epic Oba Femi laid out Brock Lesnar last week. He pointed at the sign. It's official. We're getting Oba and Brock at WrestleMania. But Brock is now pissed because he got embarrassed last week. And Brock's like, Paul Heyman's like, because everyone's chanting Oba, Oba, and Paul Heyman's like, you're pissing off Brock Lesnar. And then Paul Heyman, it was actually pretty interesting because Paul Heyman, he started listing off the names like Brock Lesnar ended the Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania. Like, did Undertaker ever get his revenge on Brock Lesnar? No. Like, was Goldberg able to take out Brock Lesnar? No. And then he goes, was Dean Ambrose? He just names drops Dean Ambrose like that. I'm like, okay. Then he name drops Bobby Lashley too out of nowhere. Just basically saying like, could these guys stop Brock Lesnar? No. AJ Styles, John Cena. No. None of them could have stopped Brock Lesnar. And like Oba Femi will not be the one to do it. And then out comes Oba. Oba Femi comes out. Brock goes after him. He tries to get him up for the F5. Oba counters, clotheslines Brock Lesnar out of the ring. Brock Lesnar forced to retreat. Oba Femi once again getting the upper hand on Brock Lesnar. This match, I cannot wait for it. It's going to be so good. I can't wait. We're going to see Brock Lesnar again next week. Raw is going to be in Madison Square Garden. That's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that. So that was great. Then we get, let's talk about AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch and AJ Lee will go one-on-one at WrestleMania. Becky Lynch comes out and talks about, how much it was actually, I kind of felt bad for her in a way because she mentioned how how she went home and after she lost to AJ and Becky and Seth's daughter was skipping around the ring, skipping around their house, singing AJ Lee's music. So imagine you're Becky and your child is singing your Mortal Enemies theme song. Like I kind of felt bad for Becky. That like yeah, that hurts. And then just Becky just you know how Becky does. And then AJ Lee comes out, she goes after her, but Becky runs, hightails it, runs into the crowd, and then AJ challenge her. She's like AJ challenges her to a match at WrestleMania, and Becky accepts. So we are getting AJ Lee and Becky Lynch one more time at WrestleMania for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. The title will, my best bet and what I hope will happen, please, is they're probably going to add a stipulation to it. Make it Extreme Rules, make it last woman standing. I don't know. Make it interesting because we've seen these two go at it a lot. Make it interesting. Make it like, I don't know, just a stipulation match. That's all I ask. But yes, but that match is official. Then we had the Usos went up against the Vision. Non-title match, Usos against the Vision. Vision pick up the victory by disqualification because there was a point when Logan Paul had the brass knuckles. Then LA Knight comes out. LA Knight comes out. He attacks Logan Paul. He throws the brass knuckles to Jey Uso. And Jey Uso's just like, bam! Knocks out Austin Theory right in front of the ref. So it causes a disqualification. Like, Jey Uso didn't even try to hide it. He put the brass knuckles on. It was like, bam. Knocked out Austin Theory. Then he knocked out Logan Paul. Vision win by disqualification. Paul Heyman then talks to Adam Pearce and asks if they can get next week. And he did it. It's been made official. We're getting a street fight tag team match for the tag team championships, the Usos versus the Vision. Because the Vision did win by DQ, so they're going to get a tag title shot next week. Madison Square Garden, street fight. That's going to be awesome. But my thing, though, is that are the Vision going to take the tag titles? Or I thought we'd have this match at WrestleMania, but no, we're having it next week. Is Punk gonna screw over the Usos here? I don't know. We'll it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, Jey Uso just snapped, and then they even had a backstage segment. LA Knight's like, you could have tried to hit it and hit him when you could have tried to hide the brass knuckles. You didn't have to make it so obvious. And then Jay's like, oh. They talked about our family. They got what they deserve. Jay's just snapping. Jey Uso's crashing out again, right? And then LA Knight says again, "You're starting to sound like Roman." He's like, "Why does everyone say I'm sounding like Roman?" He's getting pissed off. And then Jimmy's just like, go. And then Jimmy says to LA Knight, he mentioned CM Punk's like CM Punk's gonna find out what happens when you talk about our family, and then just walked away. He said something like that because the Usos already got mad at Punk for what he said earlier. So he basically warning LA Knight don't talk about our family. You saw what CM Punk's gonna find out. So, don't. So he's basically warning LA Knight, watch what you say. Javon Evans defeated Grayson Waller in a one-on-one match. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria defeated the Kabuki Warriors, and then they called out Lash and Nia, so they're going to get a women's tag title shot next week in Madison Square Garden. I Show Speed was on Monday Night Raw, which is pretty cool. He dapped up Javon Evans. He had a backstage thing with Penta and Dragon Lee, and Penta was showing him how to do the Penta walk, and Dragon Lee was like, I'm sorry, no, Speed. That was Speed because Speed's just very animated like that. Speed was just like with the tongue out and everything. It was Speed's funny. And then Dragon Lee came up and he's like, "You're a dragon?" He's like, "I'm a dog." Ooh. And then Dragon Lee's like, "I got some speed." It was just funny. It was goofy, but it was funny. I Show Speed's good. I like I Show Speed. So yeah, that was just a funny backstage segment. Then we see him again with, of course, Danhausen. Danhausen shows up and he's like, "You have 180 human followers?" He's like, 180 million. And he's like, "Oh," and then he's like, "Yeah, that checks out." He's like, "How about me? You give me your password and we team up and we could be I I showed Speedhausen, yeah, and I get half of your credit. I get half of your whatever. He's like, hey, it works out for both of us. And Speed's like, no. And then he's like, okay, you know what? You are cursed. And then he disappears. And then Speed looks at Adam Pearce and he's like, cursed? Cursed? What? What? And Adam Pearce is like, I gotta go. You have a good rest of your night. I show Speed's like, cursed? Speed. That was funny. That was funny. Danhausen's good, man. Danhausen is good. Uh, then let's talk about what big stuff. Seth Rollins gets arrested. Paul Heyman, as I said, he had a little thing with Adam Pearce when he got the tag match, and then Adam Pearce was like, "You got to go to the ring. You scheduled a time to talk about Seth Rollins." So Paul Heyman goes out there and he's like, Bronson Reed's he's not coming back anytime soon. Braun Breaker's not coming back anytime soon. Hold on, we'll talk about that. Austin Theory's half conscience. Logan Paul's half conscience. I can't talk. Whatever. Brock Lesnar was so pissed off. He has already left the arena, so I'm all on my own. So he basically calls out Seth Rollins all on his own. He's got no one. He's all on his own. And he's like, I'm not challenging you to a match at WrestleMania, Seth, because he's like, this isn't big. This place isn't big enough for the both of us, Seth. And he's like, I'm not challenging you to a match because I would stand no chance. So he's like, but he does call out Seth Rollins. He's like, let's do this right here, right now. Seth comes from the crowd. He stands on the announce table. All of a sudden, 4 Boston cops show up, and they're like, Seth, get down. We got to go. We got to go. And then Paul Heyman starts laughing, and he says how he got a restraining order against Seth, so Seth can't come within 50 feet of Paul Heyman. And then the police are escorting Seth Rollins through the crowd. And Paul is just Paul is just going off. He's like, you're going to go to prison. Your wife's going to divorce you. She's going to get remarried to everyone in the locker room. And then Child Protective Services are going to take away your daughter. But don't worry, I'm going to adopt her. And Paul Heyman's just going off. And then Seth Rollins is like, all right, enough is enough. And then he runs to the ring. He knocks down Paul Heyman. And then the cops show up and they cuff him and they drag him out of there. And Paul Heyman's just like, So Seth Rollins is arrested. No! But no, he'll be back. He'll be back. Guys, I said Braun Breaker, we'll talk about it, because there is a chance that Braun Breaker will make WrestleMania. There's rumors that Braun Breaker may be that he'll be ready the week of WrestleMania. It's gonna come down to the wire, but there is a chance that we could see Braun Breaker at WrestleMania. He is it's gonna be very close, but there's a chance. There's a chance Braun Breaker will be at WrestleMania. There is a chance. So. If so, that'll be great because then we'll get him and Seth Rollins. But we just have to hope. We have to hope. Speedy recovery for Braun Breaker. We just have to hope. But what about LA Knight? Because again, if Braun Breaker comes back and faces Seth Rollins, again, what does that mean for LA Knight? I don't know. But, still a cool segment with Seth getting arrested and everything. It was cool. And then let's talk about Penta and Dominic, because Penta put the IC title on the line in a rematch against Dominic Mysterio. And in this, as Dom and Liv was making their entrance, Stephanie Vaquer attacks Liv Morgan from behind. They start going at it. Liv and Stephanie brawling. They're brawling all the way backstage into the gorilla position. And they're tearing each other apart. Then we get back from the ad break. Penta and Dominic Mysterio have their match. As Dom is going up for the frog splash, Finn Balor comes out. Yes, Finn Balor comes out, lays out JD McDonough, distracts Dom, allowing Penta to pick up the victory. And then Finn Balor starts beating the crap out of Dom. He goes for a coup de grace, but JD McDonough saves him. Then Balor hits the big flip over the top, takes out both of them, and then is trying to go for Dom again, but Dom's able to get away. So then Balor hits the coup de grace on JD McDonough and then just stares at Dom all the way in the crowd. I'm coming for you, buddy. So, yes, I'm so happy that Finn Balor's a face again, and I'm so happy we're finally getting this Finn and Dom feud. I'm so happy. uh, that was great. Now, before we get into CM Punk, let's talk about. There was a little backstage segment of Asuka was beating up on Kyrie for them losing their match, and then Io Sky tried to comfort Kyrie, and Io's like, "You don't have to take this punishment." And then Asuka does her Kylie, and then Kyrie's like, all like this, and she's crying, and then she walks away, and then Raquel got in Io's face, and it's like because of what Io Sky getting involved last week, so Raquel got in her face and is like, all this, like you cost me from beating Stephanie last week. So Io and Raquel are going to have a match next week, Madison Square Garden. Now let's talk about Roman and Punk, because Roman Reigns was here on Raw and he destroyed CM Punk. I wasn't expecting it because, again, with Roman, you never know, but Roman Reigns was here. So CM Punk comes out, he talks about everything. Well, first of all, before he's even able to get out to the ring, Jimmy Uso warns him, like, Jay's on a warpath. Be careful what you say. And Punk's like, okay, because it's CM Punk. And then CM Punk gets out there and he's like, I have been warned not to say this because apparently Jey Uso's on a warpath. And then he's like, what do you think, Boston? Because it was in Boston, Massachusetts. He's like, what do you think? Should I do? He's like, yeah, no, I'm going to say what I want to say because it's CM Punk. And then Punk, he talks about Roman Reigns' comment. Remember how Roman Reigns called him old? And, like, CM Punk hit him down last week. CM Punk was saying how it's not what Roman Reigns said. It's the fact that it's not what was said. It's who said it. So he's like, my young boy ain't going to call me old. And then, he was saying, I am old. And I'm like, I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm old. I am old. And then it was funny because he made a comment like, because Punk has like a grayish beard, right? And he's like, I'm not going to cover this up like Roman does because Roman like gets it like, right. He uses it so it looks black and not gray. And Punk's like, yeah, I'm not going to cover this up like Roman. And then he was saying, he was like, it only took one punch to knock you down last week. And then he's like, at WrestleMania, when we're 20 minutes in and you have all that oil and shit running down your body, it's like, bam, with a GTS. And when you wake up the next morning, the Monday morning, you're going to have to realize you just got beat by not just a old man, but the old man, CM Punk. So, just once again, Punk talking about Roman Reigns. He was also saying how last week Roman issued how all the Samoans should go after CM Punk, and Punk's like, how many Samoans have come after me? A big fat zero. And then he was saying no one in that family can do anything on their own, or all that, right. And then he calls out, Roman, he calls out Jey Uso. Jey Uso comes out, and you keep running your mouth. And then he's like, and Punk's like, he's like, hey, because Punk had made a comment earlier. I didn't come to Boston to talk. I came to fight. He's like, I'm sick and tired of talking. I want to fight. So then Jey Uso's like, let's go. So Punk takes off his belt. They're about to go at it. Jimmy Uso comes out and is like, whoa. He's like, no. He's like, Oos. He says to Jay, you got to calm down. You cost us the tag match. You got us disqualified. Now we got to defend our titles next week. He's like, you're seeing red. Let the OTC handle him. We don't got to worry about him. And he's like, no, we do. This is our business. And then it's like, let Roman handle it. He's like, well, Roman ain't here. Dun. And then Roman Reigns comes out. And he says, he says to Jimmy, he's like, you had your tag match. And that's over, right? So, I'm going to say this respectfully. Get your brother and leave. Get your brother and get out of my ring. So they do. But of course, Jay goes after CM Punk. CM Punk knocks Jay out with the microphone, and then Jimmy starts to go after Punk. Roman Reigns, Superman punch, takes out CM Punk. And then a bunch of like the officials, Adam Pearce, come out and everything, and they're like, "Get out of there!" And Roman says to Jimmy, "Get Jay out of here." And then Adam Pearce is like, "Get out of here! Everyone, go, go, go!" And then, Roman takes off his jacket. He's all pissed. He's about to get out of the ring. But then Jay's like, "Get him, get him, get him." Jimmy's trying to hold back Jay. Jay's saying to Roman, "Get him, get him, get him." And Roman's like, "Yeah." And then he spears CM Punk, starts beating the crap out of him. He rolls him outside of the ring, throws him against the ring post, starts beating the crap out of him. And then Jay's like, "Get him, get him." Roman Reigns power bombs Punk right through the announce table, lays out CM Punk. Roman has snapped. Roman completely lays out CM Punk and is left standing tall in the end. But what's interesting is that CM Punk was laughing. He's like, similar to how Roman was after Punk knocked down Roman last week, and Roman was like, Punk was kind of doing a similar thing. Punk was laughing after Roman had put him through. Punk's like, he's doing that like demonic laugh when right. He's laughing, and then Roman's walking back, and he's walking back towards the Usos, and he's all like fired up and stuff. Pretty good segment though. We finally got to see some like action. Like we finally got to see some hands getting thrown. Roman Reigns lays out CM Punk, destroys CM Punk. But CM Punk is not really fazed by it because, again, he's laughing. So, and that was it. So, like, again, and Punk's like, don't help me. He's like, "I'm not the one that needs help. I'm not the one that needs help." And that's it. So yeah, dang, very very good though. Honestly, I enjoyed that. Again, Roman, I'm so happy he showed up. He'll probably be there next week because it's Madison Square Garden. Like, I don't see Roman really missing a Monday Night Raw. Like we're like what, like 4 weeks away. Like, right? Like I don't see Roman missing a Raw before WrestleMania. I think he'll be at the rest. But yeah, very good though. I honestly enjoyed Monday Night Raw. We finally got to see some action between Roman and Punk. Roman Reigns laying him out, and yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I enjoyed it. But that's it, guys. I thank you guys for watching my Raw reactions. I love all y'all with all my heart. Stay tuned. WrestleMania is coming up. I'm very excited. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe for more, and Cmoney is out.